Okay, guys, we wanted to show you an example of how our medical astrology book is so accurate and how it works and how to use it. And we use this example on Matthew Perry because I just did a chart for him when I found out he passed away. And I was blown away, as per usual, at the accuracy of the contents in this book and how it works. We also have the PDF, which is nice because you can search words like drowning, for instance, because he drowned, or whatever you want, whatever your case is, poison, dog bites, and it'll pull up all the degrees associated with that.
Or even like certain body parts, right?
Yeah.
Like the heart and
Yep.
intestinal system and whatnot.
Part of the kidney, renal, anything.
Yep. Okay. So let's share Matthew's chart. So he was born August 19th, 1969 at North Adams, Massachusetts at 4:47 a.m.
If you take a look here where his moon is, 7 degrees Scorpio, and it's opposite his Saturn. So oppositions are Saturnian. They deal with restrictions, coldness, dryness, end of life, death. It's the most challenging angle, and it's only a 1 degree difference, or orb, we call it. This is 7, this is 8. So it's very tight. So this is the hardest part in his chart by far, because there's only two other red lines, and oppositions are always the worst. And it's between two very important planets, the moon, which is pretty much a third of the chart, I would say, sun, moon, and ascendant. And it's where you come in, how you come into this life, and how you leave. It's the portal. And it's your mind and your emotions. And then Saturn, which rules this reality, space, time. And he's the Grim Reaper. He's the Reaper of Time. He has the sickle. And it looks like a T and a sickle. They're the symbol. And these two are perfectly opposite. And if you take a look where they are, 7 and 8, happens to be exactly where the sun and moon eclipse was the moment and period he died. And just so happens that these are on the drowning degrees. So this is the path for me. I went to the PDF. I searched drowning degrees, and where they showed up were at the first 6 drowning, and that's it.
In Taurus.
In Taurus, and almost the whole thing.
And that's where the lunar eclipse happened a few days ago.
And where his Saturn is at 8, so that's getting to be a little bit away from it, but still very close. I've noticed with this information here about a 2 degree orb. 1 degree orb is very common, but I've seen 1 degree, or I've seen things, a specific thing manifest when it was 1 degree apart. So the specific thing would manifest next to where the planet was.
It's still the moon.
And the moon, the transiting moon,
A
which
few
is part of the
degrees.
huge eclipse, which is the event.
Yes.
But
Okay. So where are the other drowning degrees?
where did the other ones happen to be? Oh, imagine that. Scorpio, 1 to 6. Right on the edge, his moon.
7 degrees Scorpio.
And again, where was the eclipse? Now let's show you this chart to show you exactly where the eclipse was. This was about when he died. The sun won't move. The moon in 12 hours could move this way through those 6 drowning degrees in the last 12 hours. The exact eclipse was on the drowning degrees. So his parents found him at 4 p.m. and I just put 3 p.m. This is the first one I drew, first chart I drew, and I thought I'd stick with this time and explain. It's at 6 degrees right now, the moon. In 12 hours, it would go back 6 degrees to 0 degrees Taurus. So it's probably the night before, which would honestly be about 4 a.m. Hard to say, but again, it still doesn't matter because there's so much more. It's still in that zone. The eclipse event was in that zone.
Mhm.
He's got these natal placements in that zone, and there's more. This is at 5 degrees,
The transiting sun.
and the exact eclipse would be when the sun was at 5, which was that day that he passed away, and the moon was at 5, which was 2 hours before this time here,
So 1 p.m.
was the exact eclipse, and they found him at 4. So the moon would be half a degree forward, and this chart is at 3. Okay, so the sun is at 5 degrees, the day of the big eclipse, and the day they found him. Here's where the sun was, 5 degrees, drowning. The sun was on a drowning degree the day he drowned. Okay,
So was the moon
and the moon,
transiting.
and pretty much his moon, and pretty much his Saturn.
Mhm.
Okay, so the rest of the
Starry.
goes like this. So that's the bulk of the drowning degrees. It's right where that eclipse happened.
The beginning of Taurus and the beginning of Scorpio.
That's pretty much all of them. Now there's a couple more, and where would you think it would land? Let's check the degree of his sun. 26 degrees Leo is his sun, and this is squaring the eclipse along with his ascendant. So there's a big opposition and a big square, it's a T-square, of these natal placements and the eclipse amplifying it. So his sun is at 26 degrees. Let's take a look where 26 degrees lands in the chart. Here you go, Leo 26, myocardium, circulation, poisoning, drowning, and asphyxiation. So his sun was on that degree his whole life, almost like it was an omen for him to drown. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. 26 degrees Leo is on a drowning and asphyxiation degree, and it's also in the heart. In the little bit of reading I did, explained how he had a heart attack and then drowned.
In the hot tub.
In the hot tub, which is like a womb. And it was the moon playing a vital role because the moon is the womb and the portal in and the portal out. The sun was on his moon and the moon was opposite his moon. There was a lot of womb and the moon is water. It was in water.
Right. Not to go off track of the sun, because that's where we're at right now, but I'm just noticing we have Jupiter there expanding all of this eclipse energy as well, just making it more amplified.
Yeah, and Mars.
Right.
The transiting sun, his natal moon, and transiting Mars, they're all together. Mars is involved too, and it's a malefic, and that deals with death too. And Mars is opposite his Saturn and Jupiter and the moon. So Mars is right there in the mix too. One you don't really want to add, especially to add to this.
Yeah.
And Mars is squaring his heart, Leo, his ascendant. It was ultimately a heart attack, cardiac arrest.
Right.
And well, then I guess you could say ultimately taking in water.
Right. And little bit that we were reading, Matthew Perry has struggled with alcoholism and drugs. He had opened some sort of rehabilitation center.
Yep, for about 13 years or so.
So that's like the the benefit of it.
And if you look to his chart, there's a perfect square from his sun to Neptune. Squares are challenging, and Neptune is alcoholism, addiction, and drugs. So, and there's nothing else really in the chart that would suggest addiction or alcoholism or drugs, opiates for his case, which is very Neptunian. These degrees manifest more when they're being triggered by transiting planets, bad angles on them, or natal planets, bad angles to them. Then the bad things will manifest more likely. Like maybe I'm sure he had myocardium, circulation issues. Because this square in his natal chart was activating the vices of it. They get worse is when transiting planets square them, like this eclipse.
So you've got the sun on a drowning degree, Saturn and moon natal orbiting drowning degrees.
Very close on the biggest conglomeration of drowning degrees.
Right. And transiting sun, transiting moon on drowning degrees. Leo's the heart, his sun and ascendant. Yeah.
And the only other drowning degrees in the chart is one at the end of Virgo, one at the end of Pisces, and a couple more after Leo, and one more before his 26. So his 26 is right in the heart of his drowning section. And there's really only two other ones.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you've got the beginning of Taurus, the beginning of Scorpio, the end of Leo, like one in the end of Virgo and one in the end of Pisces for
Which
drowning.
he actually has, looks like he has placements on them too, or
Right.
close to.
Yeah. Pluto.
Yeah.
You know, everything's written in the stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you think he could have like worked on his health and avoided the heart
We don't
issue?
we don't have to be doomed by this information because you can always negate these. He had many warnings and signs. He had been experiencing poor health. Just go ahead and read the articles. The only couple I read which popped up right away indicated that he was warned if you were to continue taking these pills, you'll be dead. There was many instances when he was warned,
Yeah. So if he would have, done some things to mitigate these health issues, particularly in the heart, he could have possibly avoided or prolonged his life anyways.
Mm-hmm.
One being taking the magnesium phosphate cell salt.
Yep. For the heart muscle.
Yep. And we'll go into the physical symptoms here in a moment. I just want to cruise on down to other ways he could have helped himself. He can eat magnesium phosphate rich foods like asparagus, Brazil nuts, spelt, apples, plums, garbanzo beans, sprouts, so on and so forth. He could have worn crystals, stones, and metals associated with Leo, which is the heart. The actual magnesium phosphate is found in nuberite. So there's tiger's eye, peridot, ruby, fire opal. Green tourmaline isn't on this list, but that's a really powerful one.
Yep, and gold.
Right, gold, which, I mean, obviously he could have afforded some amazing pieces of gold and
good supplements he could have.
crystals. Yeah. Sun gazing, he probably wasn't into that, but that would have helped. He was probably pretty playful, at least in his earlier years. I mean, it's hard to be playful when you're sick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then the gold ormus.
Yep.
He could have definitely afforded that, I would imagine.
Yep, magnesium, gold ormus, some yoga, grounding to reduce inflammation on the green earth. The earth is the heart of this realm we're in. Yep, could have even chanted to the sun.
Yeah, Yam Suryaya Namahe.
Heart yoga, changed his diet.
Listened to songs or even sing or play in the key of A major, A minor, and C major. Lots of different things, right? So, you see these things in a chart, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're doomed. Right.
It's more hindsight. Don't try to use it as a future.
Yeah, and if you are looking into the future, that gives you an advantage because then you can see, what's coming and be ready for it.
Right. True.
Start consuming that ormus, that gold ormus in huge amounts, and the magnesium phosphate in huge amounts. But going back to the symptoms of a magnesium phosphate cell salt deficiency, these emotional, physical, and facial indicators are not even associated with astrology. This information is from a
Homeopathic book.
yeah, homeopathic book, and
They happen to be. Sorry.
yeah, the author had no knowledge of astrology and how it relates to the body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty interesting. But you can see magnesium phosphate deficiency is a tendency to addiction, including gambling, alcohol, tobacco, which obviously he was addicted to alcohol.
Everyone knows Leo is the gambling sign,
Mhm.
and that happens to be the deficiency for the mineral for Leo.
Right. And also, if you ever see somebody that has like a red face, they're most likely a Leo, especially if they're
And
a drinking Leo.
And deficient magnesium phosphate.
So blushing. So let's go ahead and take a look at. I haven't seen Matthew Perry. Like I remember him from like years ago, but I don't follow Hollywood at all. So let's look at his recent photos.
Looks like red face.
Right. Red
Magnesium
face.
phosphate deficiency for the heart.
Yeah. Can really see his leonine characteristics too.
Square head, big hair, very boxy, big bobbly boxy head. They got these wide eyes here. They're pretty wide and level, and they got this Leo lion brow.
Right, and then the thinner lip,
Thinner upper lip. And you can kind of see his birdie Scorpio moon.
Yeah, you can see it more in here, I think. This one here.
It's a bit like a bird.
Yeah.
You can kind of see it here too.
Yeah, because Scorpios have both the upper and lower lip thin, just like kind of thin
Bird lips.
bird lips. Yeah. He's got that Scorpio moon.
Scorpio Leos always give that look. I know a couple Scorpio Leos that kind of have that, park their face like that. Bird lion. You see the bird there? It's like an eagle. Eagle is the bird, more specifically an eagle. There's the bird nose.
But yeah, how old was he when he died?
54 only.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah. And if only he wasn't so controlled by the stars, more conscious, more consciously aware, he could have perhaps avoided this early death. Yeah, let's look at him the old ones. Oh yeah, he doesn't. I mean, honestly, that doesn't look 54, right? It's more like
poor guy.
65.
Yeah.
Yeah, jeez.
Dang. Can tell. Holding on to water, and you can kind of tell he's got a bad heart.
Yeah, because he's kind of hunched over. It's like he's not like projecting his heart out like a Leo that isn't challenged would. Because a lot of the time, Leos will have that like broad chest, and that's what you notice, especially Leo risings. You notice they're like.
He's Leo sun and rising. Oh yeah, we got to take care of our health, guys.
It's up to us. I mean, we must take responsibility of our own bodies, right? Can't rely on anyone else. It's a personal choice.
So that is an example on how our book is accurate and works and how to use it. And we hope you enjoyed that. And we hope you can find some amazing charts with it as well.
Yeah. And if you're interested in purchasing the book, you can go to crystalclearcompass.com to the astrology section. I'll have a link posted below, and we'll get you one sent over. If you want an actual physical copy, we can do that as well. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. You all have a beautiful day, and we look forward to our next astrological video.